Alright, let's do this. Meet Prometheus. Prometheus is a character from Greek mythology and one of the Titans. What are the Titans, you ask? They were the ones that ruled the world before the Olympians. Who are the Olympians? Well, maybe if I'd actually paid attention in class, you would know that. The thing that makes Prometheus stand out from the other gods is that he wasn't a complete asshole jerk. While the other gods just liked humans because they could disguise as the husband of the women so they could have sex with them, Prometheus had more pure reasons for liking them. Well, I guess I should probably tell you the story of Prometheus. There are a million different versions, so I'll just tell you some of the minor differences as I go through. The story starts at the conflict between the Olympian gods and the Titans, which was a 10-year war called Titanomachy. Prometheus was originally on the side of his fellow Titans, but he swapped sides. In some versions of the story, this was because the Titans wouldn't use his tricks to help win, and in others it was because Prometheus, who can see the future by the way, something that you should probably remember for later, foresaw the defeat of the Titans and swapped sides. The Olympians, along with Prometheus's help, defeated the Titans and gained control of the world. In some versions of the story, Prometheus and his brother Epimetheus, who has a really hard to pronounce name, were tasked with creating humans among other creatures. Prometheus created the humans out of clay, and Epimetheus handed out the gifts, which were pretty much like superpowers, like claws and wings. But Epimetheus, who's a complete idiot, handed out these gifts too carelessly, and by the time he got to the humans, there was none left to give. Just think about it. If it hadn't been for Epimetheus, we could have, shot acid out of our eyeballs or something. It would have been awesome. He did this because Epimetheus is the god of afterthought, which is a really crappy thing to be the god of. Which brings up the question of how the gods become gods of different things. Did Epimetheus just draw the short straw and get a sucky power? I mean, imagine being born a god and being told that you're the god of window frames. That's what it's like to be Epimetheus. I'm getting sidetracked though, so let's get back to the myth. Feeling bad for his creations, Prometheus decided he would steal a gift for the humans. So he stole fire from Hephaestus, whose name I had to search up to try and pronounce, and Athena's workshop, and gave it to the humans. Unsurprisingly upset that Prometheus just robbed two of his fellow gods, Zeus took the fire back from the humans. Prometheus, taking a page from Epimetheus' book of not thinking about your decisions before actually doing them, stole it back again. In another version of the story, humans already had fire, but when Prometheus tricked Zeus into picking a pile of bones as the meal instead of a pile of meat at Mount Olympus, long story, Zeus took fire away from man. Prometheus also stole the fire back once again in this version. Clearly sick of Prometheus's crap, as punishment for his actions, Zeus created Pandora. Pandora married Prometheus's brother Epimetheus and brought along a wedding gift given to her by Zeus. Prometheus had warned Epimetheus to not accept any gift from the gods, but he was too charmed by Pandora. Even though she was told not to open it, Pandora grew too curious and opened the box. The contents of this box were all of the negative aspects of life to blight mankind for eternity, such as disease, misery, pain, and poverty. All of my favorite things, of course. But at the bottom was hope. I don't actually really know the reasoning for Zeus putting that there. I think it was just to make the story a bit lighter, maybe, because it just kind of contradicts the whole point of Zeus even making the box. But that wasn't the only punishment Prometheus faced, as he was also chained to a rock, where an eagle would swoop down to eat his liver every day. This was especially bad since his liver would regenerate every night, only to be eaten again. Of course, this is a bit of a plot hole, since Prometheus should have known that all of this would happen, since he can see the future. But maybe this means that he wanted all of the evils to be released into the world, and that this was all just a really elaborate evil plan made by Prometheus to bring suffering. Oh, am I kidding? They probably just didn't think of that. But don't feel too bad for Prometheus, because many years later he was freed by Hercules, who was doing his 7 labors. The myth of Prometheus doesn't really have many archetypes, except for possibly Zeus as the villain and Prometheus as the hero, but even that's a matter of perspective. I mean, come on, cut the guy some slack. What would you do if some guy tricked you into eating bones? I mean, personally, I would ruin the lives of billions of humans, and probably laugh maniacally while doing so. In fact, you could even say that Prometheus was the traitor archetype. Need I remind you that he betrayed the Titans to a fate of being locked up in Tartarus for all of eternity? It's also pretty easy to identify that this is a creation story, as it explains the creation of humans, fire, as well as all of our problems. It also follows at least 2 of the purposes of myth, as it explains the nature of the gods, and it explains the meaning behind one religious ritual that ancient Greeks performed. I didn't really explain the bone and meat pile story earlier, so let me now. The humans were meant to give the meat as a sacrifice to Zeus, but Prometheus had him pick from the bone pile and the meat pile, and he disguised the meat pile. That's why the Greeks in animal sacrifices dedicated the bones of the animal instead of the meat. Overall, Prometheus' story is that of a man that did many bad things, all in a cowardly attempt to survive, like when he betrayed his fellow Titans, but in the end sacrificed himself because of his attachment to the humans.